Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Shelly, and today we're going to be scrapbooking some pictures of my niece and nephew from 2024. My mom and dad took them to a place in Pensacola called Fast Eddie's. It's got a big go-kart track and an arcade and stuff like that. So I have some pictures of them riding the go-karts. My mom was in the go-kart with them, so dad was in charge of the photos. So the photos are a little I have I have two close-ups of KK and then only this one far away one of Weiler in the actual cars. And then they also have this section where you can get in these tractors and move logs and dig, you know, gravel and stuff like that. So this is at the same place, but it's a little bit different. It's a little bit a different, it's not go-karts, but it's from the same place. So I want to do them as a two-page layout that kind of coordinates with each other, even though this one is a little bit more tractory and then this one. So the collections that I have pulled out to use are Rollin' Good Times and Hit the Road. Both of these came out in 2025. I think this one came out a little bit earlier in the year. I'm not sure. And then this one was the Road Trip um, collection that came out in the summer. And I I looked through the paper collections, each of them, and this one is, the one that's a little bit more appropriate for my photos. But there were two papers in here that I really liked, so I'm going to mix and match. Now there are some super fun papers in this collection. You got the winner's flag and checker flag and some border strips and some cut aparts. But the pages that I liked best were these. Now, I liked the track, especially for the go-kart photos, but I didn't really like the background. I didn't want everything to be gray. But I do like the track. And then I like this caution tape particularly for the construction-y side, but I think I'm going to end up using a little bit, not a lot of it, but a little bit on each side. I did like this side too as the potential for the background, but it's not what I ended up going with. What I ended up going with is this red one. And I like it because it can go for driving go-karts, you're just going in all the directions. It can go for the tractors, so and I like the contrast of the red. So I'm going to use this red sheet, there's the two of them, as my main background pieces for this layout. And then a little bit of this, and I am actually going to cut out the track on this piece. I don't know why I do these kinds of things to myself, but is what I'm going to do. Then for the other paper pack, what I want to use is these two papers here. This one is more road trippy, so it's a lot of cars and there's some scenery ones, some geotags, some street signs and highway signs. And but I liked these that this went really well, I thought, with the tractory vibe and the construction vibe. And then this one here, because there's also one on one of these that just looks like a gravel road, but I liked this one better because it had a little bit more going on, but still gave that same dark vibe. So I think that I'm going to use these two pieces of paper from this collection. Now, so like I said, I want to cut out this track. But so what I'm going to do is take my fussy cut scissors, these little guys here, they work perfectly for fussy cutting. They're really good. And cut out the outside of it. But instead of trying to cut out the inside with scissors and messing up this I'm going to use my X-Acto knife. This one is an, look how dirty it is. It's an old one from Martha Stewart, but I really like it. I just change out my blades for new ones. And I'm going to go around the inside so that I'm left with this whole piece of paper that I can use to maybe mat some of my photos or something like that. Okay, so I have cut out my track, and then because, anytime you're working with such a large shape and it has rounded edges, your cuts are not going to be perfect. But with something that's dark, I always just take my inker and ink around the edges in black, and it really does a good job at hiding any imperfections. Now, I probably will chop a piece of this off. I don't think I'll use the whole thing over here because I'm going to cover up one side of it, I think. Um, but I see how I just like the way the track looks on a different background than that gray. Everything was just too gray and kind of dull. So what I have also done is taken this piece of paper that we pulled from the what's it called again? Rollin Good Times paper, and I just took my photo trimmer, my guillotine trimmer, and I trimmed off the corners. They were like this, and it fit right in there. I just stuck the whole piece of paper into my trimmer and I trimmed it off here, and then I took these pieces and trimmed these off. I don't know if I'll use these for anything, so I'm just going to set them to the side. And then I am going to use these in my corners. I also inked the edges of these. So these are going to sit here and here. I am going to overlap these here. Now, for my photos, which are here, I know I want this picture to go here, and then I'm going to put Weiler on top since this is the only photo of him I have in the go-kart. And then I'll put KK on the bottom here with my mom. She's chopped off. That's how she was in the photo. And then on this side, I don't love that KK is facing this direction, but all of the photos are facing in that direction, so I don't really have a choice. I could flip it around, but then the words and stuff would be backwards, so I'm just going to deal with it. Um, so these are going to go right here, but I want to put something else. I don't just want this one piece of paper as my background. So I'm going to use that checkerboard dark piece of paper that we stole from the Hit the Road collection. And I'm going to cut this, let's see, this is 4.5 inches. And I just want to put these on here too. So there's just some contrast. And I will probably have to matte these in some other color. I'm not sure yet. Maybe yellow, maybe white. And then I have this piece here. This is kind of big. Oh, but I do want to put something here. Let's see here. That piece of paper. Where is it? This piece that we also borrowed from the Hit the Road collection. I just want a strip. So I want two of these stripes here, but I am going to include, see how the in between each set of arrows, there's a thicker gold piece. For each strip, I want the whole gold strip. So that means I'm going to cut this piece off, cut one of these, cut this piece off, and then cut one of these. So it's going to take up about that much of my piece of paper, but that's what I want, so I'm just going to do it. Okay, so I've used my paper trimmer and trimmed these two strips down. See how I included the wide, darker edge on either side? And I'm going to put this on this side here. So it takes up a little bit more room. So there's not so much room around this photo over here. And then on this side, I also want a strip of this piece of paper. Okay, this is 5.5 inches. Let's see if this. I want there to be a little bit. I could trim this down a little bit more, if maybe another 1/4 of an inch just to have a little breathing room over there. And then I'm going to use another one of these strips. And I don't know if I should put them both facing the same direction or if one should be going down and one should be going up. I think I want one to be going down and one to be going up. And this one, see, this one is going to be really off to the side to kind of take up more room. I don't want to use up too much of my black, and I do want to use up some of my red. This one is not that way. So I'm going to put it right in the middle over the border between these two papers because I don't want to take up more of this red. I want there to be space around this one. I could actually scooch it over this way a little bit. If I cut off that 1/4 of an inch, will I still have, I think so. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off a 1/4 of an inch from this piece. Now I did paint the edges of the track, my caution strips, and these black pieces of paper. I just don't want that white to be showing. It on this side it won't actually matter because I'm going to cover it up with this yellow strip of paper, but I'm just going to go ahead and ink it up anyway. Let's put this back where it goes. And then this will go here. I will cut off this red paper that's underneath these big black pieces so that it doesn't get wasted. Can y'all hear my cats running around like crazy? I think somebody's got the zoomies in there. All right, so I like that. And then he's going to go here. All right, now I need photo mats. Okay, so I taken the piece that was in the center of this track. It was this gray piece of paper, and I've cut out photo mats to go underneath these photos that are going to go on the red. They are a little bit lighter than the dark, but they're pretty close to what is on this. So I think that I'm going to use this for my mats for these. And then I need something for these. I have this, but I don't know if I like those two. I like the more gold color. And I pulled out the yellow cardstock. Colors that I have are canary, which is not really the right color, and the other color is this solar yellow, which is, it kind of matches this, but I don't really like how bright it is for the rest of the page. So that's not going to work for my yellow mats. But let's see here. What do I have? I do not have the matte stack, if there was one even, for the Rollin Good Times. I do have the embellishment pack, but not any kind of matte stack if they had one. I do have the matte stack for the Hit the Road collection. And these are more road trippy, but maybe this yellow is not bad. And this is street signs. That might be nice because it is appropriate since they're driving and you won't really be able to see what it is anyway. I could do that over here, but over here, this is what we have. There is one more yellow one and it is that same background. The problem is that if I turn it this way, all of my signs are going to be sideways. Can you tell? Does that bother us? It kind of does. All right, let's see. What else do we have? I have a red. Let's put that down there. I need something that's not so dark. I have this red too. These are the same. Wherever you go with all your heart, oh, wherever you go, go with all your heart and a full tank of gas. Could do this red, and it would match with this piece of paper. Ish. I don't think. I don't know. Oh. All right. I'm going to pause the camera. I'm going to attach some of this stuff down, and I'm going to think about this. Okay, so I have attached not the photos, but everything else down, which was a debacle over here because I attached all of this down before I put my crack on, so I had to pull things up. That was a little bit of a pain, but it's all stuck down now. And then I matted these photos on the gray that came from the inside of that track piece of paper that we cut out with the X-Acto knife. So I matted the two photos from the red section on there. And then these, I did take that card and cut it in half. Now these are not permanently attached. I just use a little bit of the repositionable adhesive because I'm not 100% sure. But I do like this color a lot. And this one is, I have it flipped over because there's a little bit of a glare. But I did cut off these extra pieces that I can, use for something else. And everything is stuck together. So now I have to figure out my embellishments, what I might want to do for a title, if I want to do something custom or if I want to use, I have this guy here that I kind of like. So, and then I have to figure out what I'm going to do here. I really like this color. So I might have to, because I'm going to trim it down because these cards they're made so you can map photos on them, but they are a little bit larger than what I would want to use. So I would cut it down to where it only had, the standard eighth of an inch around there. So you would not really be able to tell that it was sideways. I think that's probably what I'm going to do because I just really like that color better than any of the other options that I have. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I am going to do it a little bit strategically because see if I do it over in this corner, that stop is going to be right there and it's pretty obvious that it is sideways. But if I scooch this, do it in a different corner or in the middle a little bit, so where none of the words are like, excuse me, where none of the words are like super obviously sideways, or they will be, but not so bad, then maybe I can do that. So let's do that quick. Yes, I do like that. Okay. So embellishments. Now, I went through the embellishment packs for both of these collections, and I didn't find a whole lot in the Rollin Good Times because it was mostly toys, big wheels, things like that. So the ones that were more driving related were from the Hit the Road collection. And they have some stickers that say construction, which I may choose to use. It has, because there's road work and stuff like that on road trips. So I have these two here, which are construction-y. I had this, but I went with this strip instead. But this was an option originally. And then, I don't know. These are the orange. I don't think that I will probably use, but I may use these. So I'm going to keep it off to the side here. Now, in the whatever it's called, embellishment pack, the word left my brain. I did find a couple, and I like this one that says "Let's hit the road." I have this that I thought about for my journaling spot, but I could use a cut apart or something so that I have more going on down here. I want something else down here, I think, but this was one journaling spot option. I'm not sure what direction that's supposed to go in, so I'll set that there. And then just some, this says love to drive, or the curvy road sign. I do have the punches, but I probably would just make one of these. So I probably would use one of these instead, just because that's what, this is one of those it goes over and under and all of that kind of stuff. So, but I could use that as my title. I do, or I might still want to put Fast Eddies on here, maybe with some die cut letters, but a smaller one instead of something gigantic. Love to drive. I don't know. Let's leave that there for now. All right. So let's see. For here, I've used all of my yellow cards, but in this collection is this. This one right here, or this one that's the right size. See, if the Never Too Fast would fit on this side, I could use it, but over here they're not going fast. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna cut both of these out and see where we can use them. I love this little guy, this little slidey thing. There's one above and below that helps you figure out, okay, this is exactly where this is going to put so you don't screw up any of your stuff. There's one up here as well. All right. Actually. And then I find it easier to do my smaller cuts. I know probably I'm not supposed to use this for anything but photos, but I love making my smaller cuts with this little trimmer. It's the best. It will cut your finger though, so be careful. Don't give it to your children or your grandchildren. All right, so I have this guy. Okay, so I could do that. I went too fast. No, I don't like that. Let's hit the road. And I could do my journaling on it. Okay, so I had to stop and think for a few minutes because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for my title and this area down here. I think I'm going to do my journaling on this. I'm still not actually 100% sure. I did get out a die set. This is one of the Tim Holtz Thinlits, and by Sizzix, and I cut it on my die cutting machine. I used my little Creative Memories one, and I put him here, and it was still I mean, I didn't want it to be too gigantic, but it looks a little lost here. So I thought I would take this leftover piece of track and come out from behind this yellow piece and circle around the title and then tuck underneath this photo. This photo is not glued down. So I think that I might do that for the title. Still not sure if do I need to put something behind it? If so, I don't know what, because I don't want to put a big white piece of paper there. I think I'm just going to leave it as it is. I think that it's fine. It stands out enough. So, all right. So I'm going to do that. And then my journaling here, maybe I'll put this love to drive. It's green though. It'll be the only green thing on this piece of paper. So I'm not going to do that. What about a sticker? I wish I had a because the Fast Eddies, I looked up to make sure that it didn't have an apostrophe or anything. And their logo has two little racing flags. Was there any of those on this? Like this, but small, obviously, and that's too big of a print. I wish, see, something like this would be perfect if it was bigger. But I'm not going to even try to fussy cut something like that small out. But that's what I would like to have. And I don't have. There's not one in here. This is the embellishment pack for the Rollin Good Times. And the embellishment pack for this isn't, it's not really racy related. So it's not going to have a racing flag in there. But let's see. I want something little to go here. Oh, here's a speedometer. That one might be cute. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay, let's stick that right there. And then something to go here with my journaling. I may actually, no, no, oh, okay. Um, I could do the red lights. Do they have these? I don't know if they have them at the track or not. Have some arrows. I like this one that says driving buddy. Put it there with my mom. Maybe I could put this arrow here. Is it too much of the same? It's too much of the same color. I would have liked to have put it there to kind of like point up to the journaling. Okay, I stopped the camera to glue down these letters because they were driving me crazy. That's usually my threshold for whenever I decide, okay, it's time to tape down my papers and glue things down, is when I just can't stand them moving around anymore. So I glued down my letters, and then I started digging through my embellishments again. And I decided to change this "Let's Hit the Road" to "Cruisin'." And then I put that speedometer sticker behind here that we found on this "Let's Hit the Road" sticker sheet. So I like that tucked back there. And then I permanently, these were only attached with that repositionable adhesive. So I put those down with the good stuff and attached them down and then added this sticker here. This has been adhered. I did my journaling and this has been adhered. So let's see, is there anything else? I know I need to add something down here. All right, so I think that we are done with this double page layout. I just kept going through my sticker pack and just looking for something else that I could tuck in a couple of places. I added this geotag and this driving buddy sticker here. I punched two tabs from a scrap piece of this background paper and just tucked them beneath these two pieces here to add a little bit more red. And just because I wanted something else in this corner besides just this one sticker. Um, and I think that we're good. I think that I am gonna call this complete. And yeah, I'm happy with it. They're such cuties. Um, Thank you. If you've made it all the way through to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking with me. Um, if you wouldn't mind giving the video a thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. It really does help with my YouTube channel since I am fairly new. I am planning to do a giveaway when I hit either 200 or 250 subscribers. I'm not sure yet which one. I'm at 180 the last time that I checked, so it will be soon. I just got to figure out what it is that I'm going to give away. There won't be anything you have to purchase. It'll just be probably a leave a comment on a video type of thing, and you can be eligible to win. So I will let you know more about that when we get to whatever the criteria is that I decide on. Um, I'm excited because the first part, I'm starting my next travel album in my next video. I believe it's going to be a trip to New York City, and I am planning to use the Global Getaway album kit, and I'm going to start with it as is and then customize it to meet my needs. I'm not going to just use the layouts that they have recommended for me. I'm going to start there almost like it's a sketch and then customize it to fit what I want. Um, and so that should arrive tomorrow, at least the first part of it. And I'm excited to get started on that. Thank you again for sticking to the end of this video, and I will see you next Thursday. If there's anything that you need from Creative Memories and you don't already have an advisor, I will leave a link to my Creative Memories shop in the um, description box below. And yeah, if you need anything from me, just leave me a comment, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.